Hey dreamers, my name is Sophie, aka Tam, French with a Vietnamese background. Welcome to the Tam Show, where courage is key. By watching the interviews, you will learn what school doesn't teach you. I'll show you all the actual hard and real in-between process that shape it brave, inspiring entrepreneurs. You will know what to do to start and accomplish your idea or project. Get ready, guys. And you are also launching your own workshop in Saigon. So this is so amazing. And why did you launch that? And how is it like to give advice to people, to kind of give them some tips? I think that you need some management also skills. So how is it? Is it your first time doing that?
Yeah, it is my first time. Definitely nerve-wracking, definitely like took me a few months, maybe like 2 months to kind of think about how do I even, set up this information, because there's so much to know about launching a podcast, but at the same time, I don't want to overwhelm people to the point where like they don't want to do it anymore. Because I jumped into it just learning everything myself, and it probably took me like 6 months to learn this all, and also just overcoming the fears of actually putting myself out there, putting the work out there. So I'm like, okay, how do I condense all this information and not make it too scary and overwhelming for people? But yeah, I wanted to do it because people were asking me, I was getting messages a lot of like, with questions like, hey, what does it take to start a podcast? And how do you do this? And podcast manager, like, what does that mean? Or like, what is a podcast? And I just sort of figured, okay, let me...
So there was a demand, actually.
Yeah. So I was like, okay, let me just put something together and try and answer these questions all at once. And just my overall mission, even with my own podcast, is to, get the word out about Vietnam more, kind of similar to John Dewhurst's mission, about just like showing the world, like putting Vietnam on the map in a way, and just being like, hey, there's some really cool stuff happening here.
Outside people that there's something.
Yeah. And then also from the inside as well, showing people, hey, like, you don't need to have the best equipment to do this. You don't need to have like the degree, the university degree to like do something. You can learn this on your own, and it just takes, taking that first step and taking the risk and just doing it. And I found that when I was teaching English, I really discovered that like having a hobby in your free time is really a privilege. Like, it's something very privileged to have free time to like, just do something for fun. And I realized, like, for a lot of these Vietnamese students, it's like they don't have a lot of free time. They're like studying so much, and in their free time they have to learn English. And it's like, I didn't have to do that, like in my free time we were playing sports, or like I was dancing and like doing this and that. So I kind of just also wanted to show, hey, like, there are people doing creative stuff, and thinking outside the box. I think in Vietnam too, there's a lot of like just wanting to be told exactly how to do something.
Yeah, you just execute here.
Yeah.
You don't have this, okay, I'm gonna do that mindset.
Right,
you are told to do things.
Yeah. It doesn't seem like there was a lot of creative thinking or like critical thinking. So yeah, also just showing like, hey, look, these people are doing it, you can do it too, kind of thing. So doing that with my own podcast, and then also with this workshop, I wanted to, especially I was hoping that Vietnamese people would come and they would create podcasts, because I can only do so much as an English speaker. It's like a kind of conundrum, if I'm using that word right, but like, because I want to help Vietnamese people, but at the same time, it's like if they can't understand me, then that's not helpful.
Can you tell me also, what does it take to do a podcast? Do you need like actual finances? Do you need a degree, a certain experience? Because I think that a lot of people might want to do something like this. So could you explain more?
Yeah. So definitely don't need a degree to do this. I do not. I have a YouTube degree. So I'm sure there are degrees that would help, but it's definitely not necessary. I learned everything just online, and there is some financial aspect. You could do it like on a real budget, like so cheap, but I kind of encourage quality. Like, I'm not trying to tell people to just put a bunch of crappy podcasts out there in the world, because you do want to think about your listener and offering a quality product. Keeping in mind, like, just get started and then improve as you go along, of course. Like for you, I've seen such an improvement in your videos, and it's actually really cool to see that journey. And I think it helps other people feel better about their journey, like starting from the bottom, and then this is like how we go. Like I started just recording on my cell phone. It wasn't the best audio quality in the world, and it would take me like 5 hours trying to edit, but that was also me trying to be so perfectionist and like so scared of like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna put this out there and people are gonna be like, this sounds like crap, but of course no one says that. Like getting started, but also keeping in mind quality. So the thing that you'll want to buy eventually is a microphone. So if you're doing a solo show, just you, then you would just need one microphone. But if you're doing more than one person, definitely have a microphone per person, rather than just sticking a microphone in the middle and like it's not gonna sound nice. It'll sound really like echoey. Or you could just do like me and use Waves Vietnam Studio, which is in District 4. So that's been really nice too, to be able to just...
Amazing studio.
It's amazing. It's all set up, like no worries. And what else? You definitely need a podcast host website. So it's kind of confusing because there's a podcast host, like the person who is doing the interviewing, but there's also something called a podcast host in terms of where does your podcast live on the internet. So a misconception is that you create the podcast and then you submit it directly to the Apple app, which is not actually how it works. You need to have this host website, and there's a lot of different ones that you can choose from, and I can provide links to like put in the video.
Yes, I will put,
But and that cost is pretty minimal. I think I pay $15 a month, $15 US a month, to just like maintain that subscription. But it's very simple. It's literally just the place where you upload your audio, and then it will generate an RSS feed link, and this link is what you submit to Apple. And it's just a one-time thing. Like, you do this once and Apple approves, and then you don't have to worry about it again, because now the app will just pull directly from that feed every time it's updated with a new episode. Yeah, so I think it sounds more confusing and technical than it really is. But yeah, like, it's pretty simple. Can't remember the other questions.
So do you need actual finances? You just recommend that, to not do a crappy thing. You should put a bit of money, but like, could you say it roughly?
So those, so again, it's like $15 a month-ish, and maybe like $60 to $70 for one microphone, or just renting a studio hourly for like $200K an hour or something. Okay. And then from there, it's really, there's such a range in what you can choose to spend or not spend. So another thing you definitely need is the cover art for the podcast. So that's like the image of, you know, what it looks like.
Yeah.
And for that, like, you can go hire someone, like a designer, to create that for you.
Create also the sound, right?
Yeah, yeah. So I would recommend hiring a designer if you are not a designer, because it is really important. Like, the cover art is what, like, the first thing that the person sees. So you want to make sure that's good. And that can also range anywhere from, like, you know, I wouldn't go like the $5 route, but I would say anywhere between like $50 to $100 for like some good quality cover art. And there are plenty of websites online to hire freelancers to do that. Or even just going in that Facebook group, Vietnam Creative Circle. And that's how I did it, because, you know, my podcast is called Creators in Saigon. I thought it would be pretty hypocritical to like go on some random website and hire someone. So I just went to Vietnam Creative Circle and was like, hey, looking for a designer. Right, yeah, so you can do that. So that'll cost a little money. Might cost some money to get some music, like your theme music. I also found someone in Saigon that I wanted to do the music for me, and I paid him like $1 million. Or you can just go on a website like Audio Jungle, which I can provide the link, and that might be anywhere from like $2 to $40, depending on what you're looking for. And then other costs would be if you do want to hire an editor or like someone like a podcast manager to take on that whole post-production process. And those prices can really vary too, of like how much experience does this person have? Like, are they using professional editing software, or are they using like the free tools?
I see that you are so busy. What do you implement in your everyday life to have good habits as an entrepreneur?
Yeah, oh my gosh, I'm still like learning this every day. But something that I do, I'll definitely hide my cell phone. So when I'm trying to like do work, if my phone is sitting right next to me here, then I'm just tempted to like pick it up. And so out of sight, out of mind, I will literally just like put it under my pillow and forget about it. And I found that that actually does help, because I can just like really zero in on what I'm doing. Other things I do is I will schedule certain times in my day to respond to like client emails and messages, because if I'm just doing it all day long, and if I just feel like, oh my gosh, that email just came in, I have to respond right now, it like takes you out of whatever you were just doing, and then it takes so much energy to like get back into what you were doing. So now it's just like, okay, 4 p.m. I will spend 1 hour just going through all the emails and messages and replying, and that's it. Because for me, since I'm in Vietnam, but most of my clients are in the US or Australia, so...
so you need to find a good timing for all the countries.
And for me, like, I found, so I mentioned before, like, my mantra has been mornings are for me, because I found that when I was waking up, because I was sleeping, but it was their daytime, so they're like sending me these messages, and then I wake up and I have all these notifications, and it's just like, oh my gosh, and then I feel like I need to respond right now. And then that just throws off my whole day, because I woke up and was not about me. It was just like fixing all their issues and replying.
Being there for them, but not for you.
Yeah, and then that like really sets the tone. Your morning sets the tone for the whole day. So when you wake up and you're automatically like giving to everyone else and not yourself, then you're going to be so drained by the end of the day. So now instead I wake up, and whenever I feel tempted to look at those messages, I'm just like, mornings are for me.
And another question, how does it feel to be your own boss? What are the advantages and the disadvantages for you?
Yeah. This was, I think, my biggest shock going into this, because when I was working my corporate life in the US, in New York, and then when I was working for a company here teaching English, like I hated needing to be at a certain place at a certain time, being told like how to do it and when to do it, and just all these like administrative tasks that I just didn't want to do, and it didn't feel like I was able to like add any value. So the whole time in my head, I'm like, oh, I just can't wait to be my own boss and like be in charge and da-da-da. Then you realize how many decisions there are on your plate, and a lot of times decisions that you don't have the education to make or to understand. And when I say that, I'm thinking in terms of like finances and yeah, things like that, like taxes and accounting, and it's just like, I don't know, I don't understand these things. And even when I'm trying to decide what services do I want to offer, and you are in charge of setting the price for those services. Yes. No one's telling you like this is what you're getting paid. It's like you have to make that price, and you have to stand up for yourself and like sell yourself to someone and have the confidence to say that number and like convince them of the value, basically. But if you are really like strong in your services, and you know like this is exactly how I can add value to you, then it's not so much like salesy, like feeling icky or feeling like you are cheating someone, because you are aware of your value and the value of your services, and it's just like, this is how much it costs, because I need to pay myself, I need to make sure like I feel comfortable paying taxes and all those fun things. And yeah, so that was like a bit of a shock of, it's like, oh my gosh, there are certain things that I like to be in charge of and make decisions on, but then there are also a lot of things that I wish someone would just like tell me what to do.
How do you fix the prices, for example? How do you decide on, okay, as you're so new as an entrepreneur, are you afraid sometimes to be too pricey?
Yes. This is still something I'm really working through with that money mindset. Because, the first thing I do is just sort of look at other people who are offering similar services and like seeing what they charge. But even with that, it's like you don't know how they came to that number. And so just trying to like copy that number, it's like you don't know how many people they have on their team that they're paying. You don't know like what their personal financial situation is. And so, for me, it's like I'm still honestly trying to figure it out. And that's been such a block of me moving forward and going for more clients, because it's like, I don't know, like, I don't know what. For me, it's been a lot of trial and error, where it's like, okay, let me try this service and see how it feels. And if I'm not liking it, okay, then I need to like move on and try something else. And let me see how this price feels. And that's really scary. I think your price it'll make you feel a little bit uncomfortable. Because it is weird to like put a price on your services. But I think you might also just need to realize for yourself and probably go through some bad experiences and make some mistakes in terms of working with clients that, you know, maybe you priced yourself too low, and then you're realizing, wait, I'm doing a lot of work and I'm offering a ton of value. So in that situation, I would say start making a list of all the ways that you provided value to them. Like every question that they ask you and you're able to answer, like write that down. Or every time there's like a problem that happens and you're able to solve it, write that down. And so by the time you feel ready to raise your price and like, you know, tell them, hey, I'm raising my prices. We've been working together for X amount of time. Here's all the things that we were able to accomplish together. And just like pulling out that list of like, I helped you here, I helped you there. You got like
showing that you are actually adding really value to your business.
And then to say like, you know, starting next month or whatever, my price is gonna be this, and not like apologizing for it.
Yes, that's the thing.
Yeah.
I feel like sometimes we are so self-conscious about that, and we tend to make ourselves little and tend to apologize
it's like,
for some things.
sorry, I'm raising this. And I found for me now hiring people, I respect so much when someone knows their value and raises their prices. Like I've hired 2 virtual assistants now, and like one of them, she was like, yeah, I know that we agreed on X amount of dollars per hour. I will honor that for the first 2 months, but then after that it will raise to this much. And I was like, fair, like great, awesome. I was like, I respect you so much for just setting that boundary right away. Like that's not something I was able to do in the beginning with my clients, but I'm learning from her like, yes, like that's how you do it.
Clear since the beginning.
Right. I think it's all just open communication, and when someone has higher prices, it's gonna be higher quality service. So I want to pay for higher quality service, and I know that I'm offering a really high quality service. So again, like keeping track of all of those things that make you quality and how you're adding value, just so that like you feel more confident in raising your price and you are showing the customer like this is the value. And
so setting boundaries is a really good thing that you need to do to show your value and show your clients that okay, I'm this, so you need to follow me. If you follow me, then
and so that's the very like, I guess, mindset perspective of setting your prices and raising your prices. I think there's a more practical aspect as well of like, and this is the part that I suck at because I'm so bad at math and so bad at like, I don't know. What I've started to do too is making it a habit. This is another habit of having an Excel sheet and literally writing down every single thing that I pay for. So every grab that I take, every coffee that I drink, I immediately enter into this Excel sheet every single day, every single week, so that by the end of the month, I can see the trend and know like, okay, pretty much every month I spend this much on Grab, I spend this much on coffee, I spend this much on rent and blah, blah, blah. And then that way you can really know, okay, these are my living expenses and this is what I spend for this, and how much money do I need to make a month, and how much do I want to save a month to be comfortable. And then you work that into your prices.
So you know your daily expenses, your monthly and weekly expenses.
Yeah.
That's how you manage your finances.
And that's helpful too, because you can start to see, wait, like, what did I spend so much money on this month? Maybe I don't need to drink that much coffee. Like, so you start to see your own habits and what you're spending money on, and maybe if you need to cut back, like, how can you cut back? So,
Okay, very good, and very good tips.
Okay,
now let's go on the second part.
Part 2.